I always thought that I was in control of the money I earned, that I could do anything I wanted, whenever I wanted, with my money. But I was wrong. And that became clear to me during a trip I took to a foreign country a while ago, when I ended up with no money, unable to withdraw my funds, and unable to move my funds from one place to the other. As always, I had my main credit card issued from one of the largest UK banks. And this time I also had a prepaid card, one of these new multi-currency cards that you can top up and pay in foreign currencies. So what was the problem? My bank decided that in those 2 days, I was not able to move my own money from my first account to the second account because they believed it was a fraud. And the real irony is that at the time I was working for PayPal, one of the largest payment companies in the world. So there I was, 20 years after my company brought digital cash to the masses, left at the mercy of a bank. And I was really happy that that transaction was not a real fraud. Can you guess how many people in the world have been victims to credit card fraud? I will tell you, it's more than 20% of credit card holders. That's a huge number. How can credit cards be such a big problem when their use seems to be so simple and easy? Well, one thing that many people don't know about is that once you swipe your credit card or you click pay in an online transaction, a series of players will come and work behind the scenes, and each one of them will take a fee out of the transaction for the services they offer. We're talking about the banks issuing the credit cards, the credit card scheme itself, the payment gateway, only to mention a few. And we, as buyers and sellers, have to pay for those fees. I hope you will agree with me, but I don't want my money to depend on a bank. I want to be able to withdraw my money whenever I want, however I want, and to transfer it to anyone in the world. So it became clear to me then that payments should be free from dependency on any third party. Payments should be free, easy, and simple. 20 years ago, the idea of cryptocurrencies was born. The idea of currencies with ledgers secured by encryption. What we now call a blockchain. A global digital and virtual currency that would allow us to easily send money directly between us over the public internet and with no intermediaries. And then the financial crisis in 2008 led to mistrust in banks and governments' ability to manage our own money. And that's when the first blockchain-based system was created in 2009, Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the first modern cryptocurrency with no central bank or government. So this idea started to become a reality, having a currency that we could send to anyone in the world, anywhere, at any time, and with no intermediaries. But there I was, 10 years after, still left with a credit card to travel. And we're still not able to pay for most goods and services with cryptocurrencies. And yet, crypto seems to be all over the mainstream media. People experienced a lot of value in their portfolios, and everyone is talking about this thing, the blockchain. So why we're not able to pay with cryptocurrencies today? Well, there are multiple reasons. First of all, volatility is a huge threat to massive adoption. Last year, in 2017, the Bitcoin price jumped to over 2,000% of its value, to then lose more than 2/3 of the value again. And the more that prices rise and fall, the less ordinary people like us will be inclined to use cryptocurrencies. But this is still a really young market. If we think about all the people in the world who have internet access and are in the right age bracket, only 2 out of 1,000 people are cryptocurrency users. That's estimated to be between 3 to 5 million people in the world. So this market is still up to mass adoption. And if you think about the total value of the money in the world, the total supply globally, it's more than $90 trillion. Cryptocurrencies, they represent less than half of the 1% of that value. And while we went from only geeks being able to buy a Bitcoin to the possibility today for almost anyone to buy cryptocurrencies on exchanges, this is still a really difficult experience. And let's say you're one of these 2 people in 1,000 owning cryptocurrencies and you want to spend it. Well, probably you will need to cash it out in your own currency first, in your country currency, because not many retailers or merchants will accept it. And let's say myself, Sanja, I'm one of these owners of cryptocurrencies, and I find a store where I can spend them. And I want to buy myself a dress. So I go in a store, I find a dress, I want to pay with Bitcoin. Can you guess how long could it take me for the payment transaction to be processed and completed? Can anyone guess? Seconds? 30 minutes? Less than a second. It could take me hours for the payment transaction to be processed. Imagine paying like that in a store. Imagine that I wait there for hours for my payment to be processed. That would not be acceptable if we want cryptocurrencies to be massively adopted. Paying with crypto has not been an easy experience, even for tech-savvy people. Nuno is the founder of my company, UTrust, and he has been an early Bitcoin investor since 2011. So 2 years ago, Nuno wanted to buy a holiday online, and he wanted to pay with Bitcoin. So he went on one of the major websites at this time, and once the payment was made, he never received a confirmation back. So after a couple of days, he realized the whole website was a scam, and he was one more of its victims. And due to the decentralized nature of the system, he had no one to protect him. So that experience gave Nuno the idea and the motivation to create something amazing. He gathered a team together, and this is how UTrust was born. And UTrust is a true revolution because it was born to simplify and protect the way we do cryptocurrency payments in the same way that PayPal brought digital cash to the masses in 1999. We are the only platform in this space able to provide a protection service to both customers and merchants. In fact, buyers are able to enjoy the same level of consumer protection as they would do in traditional e-commerce, because consumer protection is taken for granted in traditional commerce. So why should buyers expect less in cryptocurrency payments? Merchants, on the other side, are able to convert those crypto payments into what we call fiat money, euros or dollars. So they're not exposed to the volatility of the crypto assets. They can enjoy their business as usual. You might be wondering now, what am I doing on this stage talking about crypto and UTrust? Well, I'm new to this world. I'm someone that has been more than 10 years in corporations. In the past 10 years, I worked at Vodafone, eBay, and PayPal, only to mention a few. At Vodafone, I learned everything about customer centricity. At eBay, I had the opportunity to launch new countries and new markets and head up different teams in buyer and seller strategy. And finally, at PayPal, I was responsible for the marketplaces team. Our goal was to bring the best possible payment experience to marketplace players. And it was then that it became clear to me that payments are really complex. Payment systems are really inefficient. And as I was always fascinated by innovation and technology, I started to study what we can do better. And I found out about the blockchain and cryptocurrencies, and I studied more. And one day, I found this website, UTrust, and I read their white paper. And I knew that I needed to be part of this team to bring efficiency in the payment system. Because we believe that cryptocurrencies will be the de facto way in which we pay in the future, and not the exception. Whether companies like it or not, crypto assets, especially on the financial side, need to be in strict compliance with local regulation. And this will make sure that local authorities can acknowledge crypto assets as a legitimate industry. And yet, many countries are banning cryptocurrencies somehow, like China or India. Other countries, on the other side, are fully embracing it, like Malta or Switzerland. But a global technology needs a global recognition. And merchants will jump as soon as they feel we have the global technology. And we at UTrust are here to enable that. Many of us feel we have outgrown the power of banks and governments from our lives. So the blockchain and cryptocurrencies is our chance to make it right and give the power back to people. Give the power back to you. Thank you.